Welcome to another edition of Turf Talk, Keeneland Opening Week Edition. Vance, you and I will be out there Friday, Phoenix Stakes, prep for the TwinSpires.com Breeders' Cup Sprint. Plenty of Breeders' Cup preps this past weekend, ruled by odds-on favorites. I can't remember another weekend like this. You see it sometimes with the Derby. Breeders' Cup usually a little more open, but almost every favorite delivered.
Yeah, and there was a lot of impressive performances too. Beholder obviously stood out at Santa Anita. Songbird looked like a real star in the making in the Chandelier. Also at Santa Anita, we had Big Blue Kitten shattering a course record in the Turf Classic at Belmont by nearly a second, a record previously held by Fantastic Light, and before him Sky Classic and Secretariat. So that was a truly monstrous effort. But there was a couple of favorites I saw over the weekend that struggled a little bit. Rockfall and the Vosburg. His connection said after the race that it seemed easier than it looked, but and that he wasn't 100% cranked for the race. But I'm kind of taking a more cynical view of that.
And
he's starting to show,
and
he's starting to show some chinks in his armor. So we saw a lot of everything over the weekend, but like you said, it was basically favorite dominated.
Yeah, and the race, one of the races not won by a favorite, the Awesome Again, was a race where those who watch, week in and week out, really didn't expect the favorite to run all that well. Byron, of course, at 6-5, didn't get the job done again, but the winner, Smooth Ruler. What's his name?
Smooth Roller.
The Roller?
Roller.
Okay, I don't know why I kept wanting to say he did roll. Hard spun, I need to think of like a rolling pin.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's associated with hard spun, but anyway, 116 Brisnet speed rating. That's actually under review, so that might be a future edition of Turf Talk, depending on what we do with the number. But nevertheless, he beat the Baffert pair second and third, and certainly, if you're looking for an older male spoiler, he's a horse with upside.
Yeah, he's definitely a dark horse, and I'm addressing this on a blog post that I'll put out today. But keep in mind that the Smooth Roller didn't debut until 3 weeks after American Pharoah swept the Triple Crown this year. He was unplaced in the Harry Brubaker in his only previous stakes appearance, and yet he only went off at 5-1 in the Awesome Again. It kind of shows the effects of the attrition on the older male ranks in California this year, that he was well back to that price and then yet rolled against a pretty decent field.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. No one's going to say it was the best field of the year. And Beholder wasn't there. She opted for the Zenyatta as her prep for the Classic. And speaking of preps for the Classic, I've tweeted about this. We sort of talked about it in and out as the weeks go on. We'll have the Jockey Club Gold Cup this week at Belmont. But to me, completely fascinating that the top three choices for the Classic, assuming they all go, American Pharoah, his last race will be a runner-up in the Travers back in August. Beholder prepped against other females in the Zenyatta at a mile and a 16th. And Honor Code's going in the one-turn mile, the Grade 2 Kelso. So all three top choices is skewing traditional preps for the Classic.
Yeah, and then especially in the case of Honor Code, that's very unusual that a traditionalist trainer like Shug McGahee and a traditionalist owner like Will Farish are skipping a prestigious race like the Jockey Club Gold Cup, thinking they don't want to put two hard mile-and-a-quarter races into them at the end of the season. We'll see how that plan works out, but I still expect Honor Code to do very well this weekend.
Yeah, and dialing it way back to 03, Farish owned Mineshaft, who won the Jockey Club Gold Cup and pretty much clinched Horse of the Year with that win, and then skipped the Breeders' Cup Classic. So I'm not sure if that's a Will thing where he doesn't like the back-to-back mile-and-a-quarter races or whatever, but it does seem like, and granted it's 12 years apart and totally different, but there's somewhat of a pattern there, it seems.
A little bit. In retrospect, I kind of think with the Breeders' Cup being at Santa Anita that particular year, major handicap horses in the East Coast not always liking to go out west to face the best on their home turf. I think that probably had a lot to do with Mineshaft possibly not going to the Breeders' Cup that year, although the official reason was he was injured, I believe.
Right.
So something like along those lines, but like you said, that Gold Cup victory more or less sealed Horse of the Year honors. He didn't really need to go out there anyway.
Right, and didn't. But Honor Code, Horse of the Year, probably, as we've talked about before, already in the books, but still discussion could be had. And look, Older Male is still on the line. I mean, if a horse like Liam's Map or Smooth Roller were to win the Classic, to me it would be hard to deny them, given the multiple G1 wins and a win against some pretty heavy hitters in the Classic. So still something to run for this year.
Yes, I agree. Like you said, Liam's Map, I mean, if he puts up another effort like he did in the Woodward and gets that extra furlong, he's no question he should be considered for that award.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens this week with the preps at Belmont, Keeneland, and Santa Anita. Looking forward to having you out at Keeneland Live on Friday. James Scully will be out there on Saturday. I'll be out there this weekend as well. Hopefully some live picks and all that good stuff. But until then, I guess we'll talk next week on Turf Talk.
Absolutely. We'll see you then.
All right.